ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Inside the File podcast brings you the opinions and perspectives of a couple best friends. And if you don't like that call, we've got 3 words for you. You're out of here. We are your hosts this week, breaking in the best news we can, Chris and Ethan.
I don't know. Your team is struggling, and my team is losing, so I don't think it's news.
Listen, your team was due for a losing streak. Listen, you can't lead your division forever.
I'll fire you and then rehire you tomorrow.
You can't fire me. You couldn't do this without me.
That's true.
All right, guys. So every baseball player remembers their first glove, right? Maybe it's brand new. Maybe it was handed down from an older brother. Maybe it was 2 sizes too big and swallowed up your entire hand. But somehow that glove became more than leather and laces. It became confidence. It caught your first fly ball. It held the final out of the championship. It stayed in the passenger seat on the ride home after every game. Long after the jersey no longer fits, somehow we still remember the glove. Because baseball has never truly been built on statistics. It's built by people. The people who coach the game, the people who teach the game, the people who preserve the game, and the people who quietly dedicate their lives to making sure every generation gets to fall in love with it the same way they did. Today's guest is one of those people. For Michael Sacco, baseball has never simply been about selling gloves. It's about protecting the traditions of the game. Through Sacco USA, he's helped build a reputation rooted in craftsmanship, relationships, and quality, proving gloves and equipment to organizations at every level of baseball, because he understands something that can't be measured on a stat sheet. A glove isn't just leather and stitching. It's the first game of catch with your dad. It's the dirt stains that from diving for a ball that had no business reaching. It's the confidence to call for the fly ball. It's the quiet companion that's there for every inning, every season, and every dream. Every season begins with hope. Every championship begins with preparation, and behind countless memories are people like Michael, whose work makes the game possible long before anyone hears the words play ball. So today, we're not just talking about gloves. We're talking about craftsmanship, about relationships, about building trust in a game where reputation is earned over decades, not days, and about the legacy of creating what players may carry for years and remember for a lifetime. Michael, thank you for joining us. Welcome to Inside the Foul.
That's a tough act to follow right now.
So before we get into what you do and the business side of everything, when people hear, your company, they think about the baseball gloves, but when you think about yourself, what story comes to mind? What was baseball like for you growing up?
Everything. It was absolutely everything. I can remember as a kid growing up in South Philly, and every Italian kid growing up in South Philly can relate to this. I remember when the afternoon games on Fox, and with me being left-handed, just like for me, how I learned, I'm a visual learner. I would watch the games, and some of the guys who I wanted to emulate were right-handed. I'm left-handed. So I used to turn around and watch the game through the mirrors on your wall. So instead of having wallpaper, you had floor-to-ceiling mirrors along with plastic on the furniture. That's a fond memory. Another one is, I think it teaches you about who you are as a person, your character. I remember I kind of quit playing as a kid. It just wasn't fun anymore. And I would play around in the neighborhood. And I finally went back and asked my father, I was like, hey, Dad, can I play Little League again? He goes, sure. So I remember I went out, I played, and I sucked. My God, it pissed me off because you're so good around the neighborhood, but then when you get in a structured environment, it just wasn't the same. And I was angry. I would come home pissed and just, I was like, something's got to change here. So from that point on, I remember I used to get made fun of because growing up back east, I would wrap my feet in the plastic bags you would get from the supermarket, put my cleats on, and then go hit in the snow or the rain down at the ballpark. And when it came to next year, 13-year-olds, I was the best one that we had. It just lit a fire, and that's stuck with me ever since. I'm a big told you so person. I don't like being left in the dark or off to the side. I'm not an afterthought. That's just the way my mind works and how I. Like I said, you got to figure out what motivates you.
What was it about baseball that captured your attention?
Man, I don't know. It was just something I was naturally drawn to. We grew up down the street from Veteran Stadium. For people who are old enough to remember that, it was a complete dump. We used to sneak into games all the time. But there's just something about it being. I think it's a very fast-paced game if you understand it. I know people think that baseball is slow, boring. I don't want to go watch this. It's very calculated, but at the same time, I think the risk reward ratio comes into play more so than anything. And the really cool part about it is there's not one singular way to approach it. There's so many different avenues to approach the game in order to achieve the goal of winning. It's a grind, dude. 162, it's not for the faint of heart.
So would it be safe to say that, growing up in Philly that you were a Phillies fan?
No, no,
No.
no, I grew up a Yankee fan, and the reason I grew up a Yankee fan is because my old man, my uncle, that's all I knew. All I heard about was Mickey Mantle, Joe DiMaggio, Garrett Ruth, Munson, Elson Howard. That's all that was talked about. Needless to say, I kind of grew up at the right moment. I mean, Jeter, we can debate on that, all day long. You're never going to change my mind. But I think not that I didn't like the Phillies. My two favorite Phillies of all time were John Kruk and Jim Eisenreich, and I had a
Ooh,
chance to meet both of them as a kid.
that's pretty cool. So who was the biggest contributor to you with your love of baseball? Would it have been your mom or your dad?
I was actually neither. It was my uncle. My
Really?
uncle, my uncle Frank. Yeah, we called him
Now
Uncle
what?
Cook.
How so?
He played, I believe, in the Orioles organization, and my uncle used to come over every Saturday for breakfast. And I'll never forget the first time he ever asked me, "Do you want to go down the field?" Because his youngest son and I are 11 months apart. Ironically enough, we both have the same name. But he would ask me, he's like, "Do you want to go down the field?" All right, yeah, cool, let's go. Never once did he ever say, "Well, we're only going to be out here for this amount of time. We're only going to do this. We're only whatever I wanted to do, however late I wanted to be out there, he would stay." And I think he regretted saying that a little bit because we'd be there from 11:30 in the afternoon till 6:30 in the evening. I think he needed it more than I did, to be honest with you. Now that I kind of look back on it, as we get older in life, we still have those things, moments, whatever that kind of spark that emotion or feelings inside of us that bring us back to a time where things were just simple as opposed to the daily grind of life, and just having that one singular focus of just getting better than you were not only the day before but an hour before, 5 minutes before. I think he needed it more than I did, but I'm here to say thanks because I benefited as well too.
So, in your mind, what do you think separated you from other players at a young age?
I wanted it. I was willing to do whatever it is that needed to be done. You couldn't get me off there. It's just something that I don't know if this is a bad analogy or not, how a drug user needs to get their fix. That was my fix. It's just something that even to this day, I can spend all day down the field. I'd much rather be down there hitting off a tee, playing catch, taking grounders, fly balls, base, like whatever it is. I'd much rather be out there than sitting in front of a computer. Excuse me. I don't know really how else to describe it. It's a part of you, and it's just something that is inside of you. You don't know how to describe it, but when you're there, it's utopic, if that's even a word.
Yeah. So you talk about, enjoying the game and having that passion for it, but you also mentioned briefly where you were, talking about how you had stepped away from the game at a younger age. Was that the only moment, or were there other moments where, the game was a little too hard, or you experienced the want to step away?
No, I think at that time I was very. You're not going to convince me otherwise. We grew up in the '90s. It was the best era. It was the best era. I'm sorry. I mean, I think like every other kid, I wanted to be 6'6", go to North Carolina and play basketball. Being Sicilian, I'm considered a giant at 5'9", so I kind of knew basketball wasn't in the mix. And my dad was a really big football fan. He was a big time Raiders fan, which when it came football season, especially 2 weeks out of the year, we would butt heads. I was or still am, a Kansas City Chiefs fan. I've been a Chiefs fan since Steve DeBerg was the quarterback. My cousin went to college with Kevin Ross. There's a Chiefs bar in Philly, so I've always been a Chiefs fan. The Bills and Oilers used to ruin my football season every year as a kid. So I think kind of I wanted to focus more on that because again, the beauty growing up back east, we got to play all four sports all year round. It's not like it is today where you're playing one thing year round. And I wouldn't change it for the world. So I think his influence on that, he was very big into football. He's very big into stock car racing, which is the reason why I like NASCAR. But he enjoyed baseball too. He did. And I think on some level, I didn't have the greatest relationship with my parents. I just didn't. But when I was 10 years old, my father went legally blind from being a type 1 diabetic. And so I had to grow up at an earlier age. My brother's 7 years older than I am. He moved out and, started his life. And there's no resentment for that. I just think kind of when you're a kid, you want to, excuse me, you want to be by your father's side, whether, regardless of the relationship. So I think maybe on some point that was a comfort factor for me of kind of not, we'll say separating from baseball structurally. Because like I said, I played in the neighborhood constantly. That's all we did in the summertime. But I don't know. There was always something bringing me back. There's always something just pulling you towards it.
So what was the toughest lesson baseball's taught you?
You don't make adjustments, you're gonna get left behind.
Really? Okay.
That's life.
Does that come from a place of like feeling underestimated or overlooked?
Absolutely. Dude, literally South Philly. I live in Vegas now. South Philly and Vegas are so alike. And I think growing up back east, you're always gonna have these negative connotations against you where you're never playing against the best, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. You always hear what you can't do instead of what you are doing and what you can do. I always wanted to play against people who were better than me because I think it's going to show you your character and how bad you really want something. If you're the type of person where you go around with other people, sorry guys, I'm Italian, I talk with the hands. If you get disgruntled with failure, you are in for the biggest shock of your life. Go live in a hole and call it a day. You have to be able to take constructive criticism, but I think more importantly, you have to hold yourself to a higher standard than anyone else will hold you to. I am the type of person where I never give myself any credit because I'm a firm believer I could always be doing something else. But when I have people around me or when I do help coach, I think it's important to celebrate the small victories within reason. Granted, I wouldn't talk to an 8-year-old the same way I would talk to a 15-year-old, but you're getting the same message across. I think you just have to want it. Whatever it is you're trying to do, you have to want it. And if you don't want it bad enough, maybe it's time to look somewhere else. And that's okay to have that tough conversation with yourself that maybe this isn't for me. I think it's more important to know what you don't want to do as opposed to what you do want to do.
So we had a phone call a couple weeks ago. You talked about determination, but you also brought up a moment that really hit home for me. The East Bay magazine, and you wanted a certain glove, and the determination when you told me that story, if that story doesn't speak determination, I don't know what does. And I feel like you need to retell that story for our listeners.
So it was freshman year, and I had a Mizuno glove that I got from Modelo's, and it wind up tearing. East Bay would come every month or every few weeks, and kids today, you're missing out. I wish East Bay would come back. But I remember flipping through the magazine, and I feel like at that time, it was very hard for left-handed players to get stuff. And I came across the Griffey 6-finger trap. I'm like, perfect. So I take the magazine to my father. Dad, this is the glove that I'm looking at. Yada, yada, yada. I think I'm doing a great job of selling this here, that he's just going to say, yes, go get your mother's credit card and call it a day. No, his response was, you work, right? I said, yeah. He goes, well, save your money and buy it. And I was just like, what a kick in the balls that was. But so I did. I saved my money and I bought it. And East Bay sent me 2 instead of 1. So I called East Bay up and I said, hey guys, you accidentally sent me 2 gloves. I only paid for 1. Can you send me a shipping slip? And she said, because you were honest and you told us, she's like, you can keep it. I said, oh, thank you. And I wound up selling that second glove to a childhood friend of mine for $50. And I always look back at that moment. If I didn't sell the glove for $50, would I be here right now? Because the whole reason why I started everything is because I had that glove and it just couldn't take anymore. So I decided, all right, cool. Let's go to Sports Chalet out here. Let's see what they have. Nothing. And at that point I said, you know what? I'm tired of buying stuff that doesn't reflect me as an individual or my personality. I hate the way it got crusty. There's got to be a better way. And I said, you know what? Go and make your own. And that was in 2013.
So would you say that would be the inspiration for your glove company?
I don't necessarily say inspiration, but a very, very integral part, big part when you kind of, look back and reflect. For me, the inspiration of doing it, like I said, life is short. Do what you want to do. It was hard. I mean, I didn't find factories until 4 years later. And then within Q3 of 2017, they finally decided to give me an opportunity after denying me 7 times. So the 8th time was a lucky number. You have to be determined in whatever it is that you're trying to do in life. And if you want something and it's meant to be, it's not going to come easy. The universe is going to say, how bad do you really want it? And I think that you're going to encounter those hurdles all the time.
So your company, Sacco USA, you guys make baseball gloves, just personalized, custom. Okay. What problem were you trying to solve for athletes? Because you talk about the glove that you had, falling apart and then having to get a new one. What problem were you trying to solve when you wanted to create these gloves?
Well, it's not just custom. We have stock stuff as well.
Okay.
One of the main problem was I hated how crusty and uncomfortable it was. And, we say confidence and comfort, comfort and confidence. It's not a marketing slogan. Let's see what I got over here. We can show you some stuff. I know it's hard to see, but obviously you see the interior palm is teal, and
Yes.
it's hard. Here we go. Right in here, you kind of see that black portion.
Yeah.
So that is a separate leather that we use. It's a really soft, ultra plush sheepskin. I wanted to make sure that it was comfortable instead of just that feeling where it's hot and you got the leather running down in your pinky finger and kind of giving you a little Indian burn or anything like that. We wear Jordans not because they're comfortable, because they're Jordans. You wear
Yeah.
Air Max because they're comfortable. Well, I kind of wanted to take that same approach. If we wear shoes on our feet to make our feet more comfortable, why can't we wear a glove to make our hand feel more comfortable? Again, it's saying baseball is very fast paced. We have an opportunity to slow that game down and slow just everything else around it down. Uh, I felt that was an opportunity worth willing to take the risk. When you compare auto gloves to everyone else, people will say, hey, it feels a little bit snug. And that's because, the more you sweat, the more that leather will form to your hand. And every single one of our gloves comes with extra cushioning in your thumb and your pinky slot. So whether you go straight up or two fingers in the pinky slot, you are going to feel that. I don't want to use the word tightness because it loosens up over time, but it's a total different feel. I highly recommend not wearing a batting glove with this because that's also another problem that we solve with this. You don't need to wear it, but it's one of those where for me, when I play the one time out of the year, if that, I sweat like an animal. I'm playing out here in 120-degree weather. You're playing in the gates of hell, but it's one of those where, you can get your glove and I can go like this and it's not coming off. It really does form to your hand. And I think we do that better than anyone. Again, in starting this, you have to pay respect to the people that have come before you. And without those brands before us, we wouldn't be here. But again, I'm highly competitive. I want to kick your ass.
So what was the defining moment when you knew this was more than just a side project?
I always knew and always believed in what we were trying to do. I think the best way to do it, to word this, is I wanted to make sure we had a quality steak before we had the sizzle. I feel nowadays a lot of people are all about the sizzle and not about the quality of the steak. I will tell you, marketing is our biggest weak point just because we don't do enough of it. I'm more of word of mouth. I like talking to people. I don't like texting. I like being in front of people. Because I think at the end of the day, when you're face to face with someone and you hear the tone, you can hear I'm not a salesman. I'm not a bullshit artist. I am, when I speak to you, it's because I genuinely care. And one thing I learned in dealing with professional baseball, if you look at players as a commodity, you're going to get nowhere. Yeah, you may throw a few bucks their way and they'll take it because at the end of the day, it is a business. But I think when you talk to players as people and you take a genuine interest in who they are, what they're about, and not about the uniform they're wearing, that's going to get you a lot further. And I can tell you right now, that's opened so many doors for me of just, you have to have that relatability. And you don't have to play the game in order to have that relatability. Human dynamics have taught us plain and simple. Don't be a dick. That's what it comes down to.
Okay. See, honestly, that's really the best way to put that. But so
It
when
really
you're
is.
looking when you're looking at these gloves and you're talking to players and potential clients, what are you wanting, like when they first put that glove on? What do you want them to notice immediately?
If we're doing a custom, I want them to feel pride because this is not the focal point. The glove itself is the focal point. To give you a prime example, one of your previous guests, Joe Campagna, love the guy. Joe and I have developed a relationship over the years to where we kind of know what the other person's thinking before we even say it. And when we did Joe's first glove, Joe being of Italian descent, he wanted to put the Italian flag on the glove. I was like, all right, sure. So we hung up the phone and probably about 30 minutes go by. I was like, I feel like this is the easy way out. It doesn't really showcase the message we're trying to convey here. So to dig a little bit deeper, and I'll never forget this. I FaceTimed him and his mother was in the car, and you guys haven't figured out, it just flows out. I curse. I can't help it. I try to rein it in. I had a lot of hot pepper in the mouth as a kid, but I start going on. I'm like, dude, we can do this so much better. Like, why don't we use the flag as inspiration and kind of move it around? I go, this way it gives people, you don't just, show them what it is. Let them think, let them take an interest in you, not necessarily the glove, but you. Because I know the interest in the glove is going to come. I'm not worried about that. Because when we do things like this, these projects, it's not what's in it for us. It's what's in it for both people. That's you have to approach it from a partnership standpoint, as well as, keeping your brand integrity in line. And we basically broke the flag down into various spots within the glove and used that on branding colors. And he was taken back. He was like, I never would have thought to do things like that. And ever since then, Joe has never used anything else. Just you have those interactions with people. Again, blue may mean something different to me than it does you. Again, I think just taking a genuine interest. Now, to scale that, obviously, that's the complicated part. One cool thing is on our site, you can book a consultation and we can kind of do everything FaceTime, kind of have that one-on-one. Or if you just want to do everything on your own, you can do that too. I just wanted to create something that you're able to take ownership. You're able to take pride. You're not just dealing with a business. You're able to put a face with the business, a face with the brand. Because I can tell you right now, when you go and call me and this phone rings, you're going to talk to me. You're not going to talk to anyone else. You meet some interesting people. You meet some really cool people. That's really been the best part about this is the world's smaller, the baseball world's even smaller. And you never know who you're going to talk to. You never know who knows who. It's a lot of fun. It's the most stressful, fearful, best, exciting thing I've ever done in my life. And no matter how hard it gets, you punch me once, I'm going to come back and punch twice. We're going to get to where we need to get to. I am not worried about that. I'm all about building something sustainable. I don't want to be an overnight success.
So you talk about not wanting to be an overnight success, and there's a lot of glove companies out there, right? And you talk about, the specific leathers that you guys use on the inside of the glove and the design process. But what else sets Sacco USA apart from the other companies that make gloves?
Well, it's going to come down, when you're making a glove, you have to have quality leather. There are a lot of companies out there who use Japanese kip leather. I don't use it specifically because I haven't found the right tannery. And I think that's the biggest misconception out there is that factory is one. Now, you have to have both. There's nothing wrong with it, just very picky and I know what I want. And I haven't found that yet. Our ultra premium steer hide, our European kip and ultra smooth pro grade kip leather, it goes through a pretty rigorous standard quality check. What I can tell you about the tanning process is it's vacuum dried multiple times. And that's all the tannery will share with me. When I asked, they said it's a family secret. Please don't ask again. And I said, sure. And I never asked again. Boundaries, you have to respect the boundaries. Yeah. But also too, it really comes down to quality standards. I actually went to one of the factories that we deal with, and it was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had. 20-something hours on a plane, but well worth it to see how everything's done. I'm just a firm believer in when you see how something is created, you have a better understanding and appreciation for how that final product comes out. And while I was there, I was able to see how things were done, make adjustments that I felt were necessary from a quality standpoint, as well as kind of streamline some things. Again, when it comes to the learning process, I'm very big on visual. So you tell me to read a book, I can't recite it back to you. It's just not the way I work. But when I can see something done, and I'm like, okay. And I'm very big on questioning, not to be a pain in the ass or anything, but it's because I want to know why. If this goes like this, well, why does this go like this instead of here or here? Like, I just want to understand the reasoning just so I can educate myself better and have a more productive conversation on the topic at hand that I'm speaking to people with. And again, I wanted to have something that I didn't want to just slap a logo on. And not many people know this, but that's not what our logo used to look like. My friend Chris, who lives in London, is a branding specialist, knows nothing about sports, knows nothing about baseball. His background is luxury retail. And Chris actually came up with everything. The last time he was here in the States, we were at Fashion Show Mall on the Strip, and we were having lunch at a Grimaldi's Pizza, and we were there for about 5 hours and then another 3 off to the side. And what he did in that time was give me an education on not only business brand, but to really think about things from a different perspective. And when he came up with everything, he's like, I want you to take a few days to sleep on this. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, no, you're right. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, you're better at this. This is your arena. I like to surround myself with people who are smarter than me so I can learn. And as soon as I knew him coming on board, I knew it was just going to elevate things, and that's where we are today with that. And I think another differentiation between us and other companies, they have higher margins to focus on, and find other ways to generate revenue, and as far as cost cutting measures. I rather pay for something that is high quality than make more money and put something out inferior. Because at the end of the day, my name's on it, and that's your reputation. I think how you stand by your brand speaks volume. To say we never encountered problems, that'd be a lie. If we ever there's a tear or something, again, I want to hear from people. I want to hear people's feedback. I'm realistic, I'm understandable, but don't take advantage, because I do know when you're BSing me over here. But if there's a problem with something, absolutely, we will take care of it. And again, in those situations, it's always cool to turn a wrong into a right. And I think that's a lot of the business has been repeat business because of the way they've been treated, and they love the product. They're like, this is the best club I ever owned. I appreciate that. I just think again, from a business brand perspective and who you are as an individual, that's going to set the tone for your standards that you want people to portray you as.
So I have a question since you brought up the gloves. How have they changed from the first year the company was around till now?
Besides branding, we actually have changed tannery. We used to deal with a premium steer, and I have some of them here, but it's just one of those where the quality I noticed was diminishing little by little, and I didn't like it. I wasn't going to stand for it. When we actually changed our brand identity, I had to stop production mid-production, and like, guys, do me a favor, like, just bill me for it. It's cool. Send me the stuff, but I'll send you updated specs for you to redo it. This is how we're doing it now. To which they were very understandable about. And then I just felt also too, it was an opportunity to get better. I will put our leathers and our gloves against anyone, and I think anyone would kind of say that, but I truly mean it. I will put our stuff up against anyone. I won't say which company it was, but I was out at a stadium and they had come over, and I kind of had a few negative interactions with some other companies where I'm like, all right, what's going to happen now? And he's coming over, looking at everything, and he was just like, your quality control is on point. He's like, are you guys hiring? And I was like, oh, I appreciate it. Like, I kind of was like, it was nice. It's very flattering to hear anytime you do something good from anyone. But from someone that you're in competition with, to hear that, I think it also feels good. I just told him, I was like, I appreciate it. Right now we're not, but I'll be happy to answer any other questions you have and everything. And that's especially here in Vegas, the people who saw us from inception to where we are now. They're like, you've gotten so much better. I'm like, well, yeah, I saw an opportunity to get better, and I took it. I think anybody would do that.
So when you think baseball, you got the tradition, and how do you balance the tradition and the innovation of a glove design? Because one of the things that I really admire about, the gloves you make is you want the quality to be the longevity of the glove. You want to be able to take this glove and pass it down to a sibling or to a son, and that glove still be as strong as it was the day it was made. But what separates a good glove from a truly great glove in your mind?
Well, to start off, I would say I'm a firm believer in whatever you have, if you take care of it, it'll last. I think something I got to think about right now, because I mean, obviously you can speak from a custom standpoint, but I just think be bold, be you. Again, not another marketing slogan. We live in a world full of influencers, and people want to follow trends and all that other stuff. I think just like you're in grade school, you do everything you can to fit in, and all the way through high school. Then you go to college, you experience different things, and you get out of college and like, all right, now I'm trying to do everything I can not to fit in and just be myself. I think that really, comes into play. It's very hard to be who you are, I think, nowadays, because you're getting judged from every perspective and thing out there today. But just being yourself, if you can see something in something that reflects a little bit of you on the inside, and you're able to showcase that. If you look at our stuff, we really don't over brand. We don't put our brand identity over a lot of stuff. I think simplicity is the hardest thing to accomplish. I like to think we accomplish that in a nice, tasteful way. But I just think when I can't speak for other people. When I purchase something, whether it's a baseball glove, whether it's a car, article, clothing, whatever, I kind of buy from the same spots. And it's not just because it's from a comfortable perspective. I like to take notice and kind of what the brand's about. I just think you have to have some sort of standards, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish.
Has there been a glove or a moment where you finished a glove or finished it for a client where you feel like it's a surreal moment that, wow, I really just did this for this person, or I really just like my gloves are being noticed? Has there been a moment like that for you?
Very first one we did, and I still get that
Really?
same feeling now. Yeah. Yeah, very first one we did was for a friend of a friend, and we did it for them. And I said, "Let me know, like, give me your honest feedback." And we listened. You're never gonna nail anything on the first time, but that's with everything. That's with everything that we do. We got into Major League Baseball in 2021, and I remember that day like it was yesterday. My phone was blowing up. People were calling me. I turned the TV on and I was sitting there with my girlfriend, who's my wife now. And I'm not ashamed to admit it. I got teary eyed. I always knew I was going to get there one way or another. We got there as a company, but to say that I get more joy out of doing a professional person's glove or celebrity as opposed to the everyday working man. No, if anything, I take more pride in everyday working man because there's a lot of choices for you to spend your hard-earned money, and the fact that you were willing to take a chance on us, I want to make sure I exceed the expectations that you had. And to give you an example, when we unveiled our customizer, the very first order we got for it, I called the guy and he thought it was a prank phone call first. And I said, no, 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 this is real. This is happening. I just want to make sure that I have everything right. But first and foremost, I just wanted to call you and thank you for the opportunity to earn your business. And I do that with everyone. Every order, whether it's a stock or a custom, you will get a phone call. If it goes to voicemail, it goes to voicemail, and I never hear back from you. It is what it is. We'll send you an email as well with it. But I take true pride in someone willing to take their hard-earned money and give us an opportunity.
So would you say you feel the most pride in those moments as a business owner?
Yes, because you can get too caught up on margins, profit, cash flow, like all these other things that will just stress you out. Again, it's I feel in today's markets, consumers are smarter than they ever have been. Consumers are more knowledgeable as far as how things are made, variations from other companies. So I think anytime someone is willing to give us an opportunity, we have to deliver. We have to over exceed expectations. And that is something that is never going to change.
I like that. So through the many avenues of success that you've experienced, I'm sure there's been learning experiences as well. What's been the biggest learning experience for you with this?
That's every day. There's been a lot. There's been a lot. One thing I will say is you've come across you have three different types of consumers. The ones who think they know everything, the ones who are price conscious, and the other ones who know nothing. I tell people if you're looking for something that is cost effective, however you define that, if you have a budget in mind, let me know. If you're looking for something that you can get on the cheap, I'll direct you towards somewhere else. At the end of the day, you're going to pay for what you get. But I tell people, are you more focused on buying something that fits your budget now and not worry about 2, 3 years down the road? Because if you're not worried about that, we can find something for you. We offer anytime you come to our site, you're a first time user, you create an account, you're going to get a code sent to you for 20% off your first order of stock stuff. Kind of giving people a little bit of sway to give us a chance. Because we still relatively are unknown. Again, going to the whole marketing factor, it's just been word of mouth. But when people get it and they actually feel the glove, start playing catch, oh my God, they're like, whoa, where's this been? How come I haven't heard of you? And I think if you're solely worried about what ifs, you're gonna drive yourself nuts. Whatever situation or incident happens, approach it just from there. And again, make that wrong or right. And because I'm a firm believer, you don't have a customer. When you earn people's trust and respect, you have ambassadors. Because people are always going to come back. They know that they're getting way more for their buck. The value is just out of this world. And, they like that they're able to talk to someone, let alone, the owner. I never throw around that I'm the owner of the company or when you talk to me or anything like that. I just give me my name. And if you ask me what my position is, I'll tell you. But, again, it's just you have to have the willingness to do what's right within the parameters. Again, If you want to be taken advantage of, that's up to you. But do in your heart what's right. Make sure that they're taken care of, and the rest of it will fall in place.
So, looking ahead, where do you see you in 10 years with the company?
Face of Major League Baseball, the face of baseball. I remember as a kid, and I went to a Catholic school, and we would have these book fairs. And I remember that I would come down, and you would see they would have your regular books, your folders, your copy books, posters. And I remember this poster, and it sticks out to me to this day. It was a Nike poster with a swoosh in outer space. Again, coming back full circle here. Have you guys ever read Shoe Dog by Phil Knight? It's the memoirs of Phil Knight,
No.
who founded Nike. Okay. I was actually flying to Portland to go to Nike World Headquarters, reading the book, to come to find out that he used a factory in Maine called Sacco, except it was 1C and not 2. So to see the poster that's stuck with me now, I'm 43 years old. I saw that poster when I was in 3rd grade. To going on a plane, flying to Nike, to seeing my name in a book, to where we're at now. I think you got to dream big. If you're not dreaming big to where it scares the living shit out of you, you're not dreaming big enough. And that's what I want. I want to be on top, and I want to be on top with our standards. I will make sure that we never pump out stuff just to bring it to market. So I guess it's a pretty cool time to do this. So we've been working on these for over a year. You would think that I'm trying to cure cancer to find or to source a fabric here. Well, these have been in the works for over a year. We are through the final testing stage with these. We're hoping to come to market with these very soon. These are our essential batting gloves. So they're in our signature Sacco blue color. The cool part about this is the more you sweat, this will add a compression style fit, so they will never come loose.
Yo,
And
that's
you
cool.
have a really squishy, sweat wicking neoprene here. I didn't want elastic because elastic just is uncomfortable. You have a matte finish for a pull tab, raised branding here and a matte finish. We haven't finalized the colors yet that we're going to be coming out with. This is definitely one of them. We do need to fix the branding on this because it was done for sampling purposes. A little bit of extra padding or abrasion is what I call it for, but these are really cool. So we were working on these. These are almost finalized. And then people were sending me comments about the video I posted of me standing in front of a pitching machine getting hit. Yes, that really happened. Well, I mean, look, at the end of the day, my name's on it. So I'm not going to put my name out there if I don't believe in something. So
Exactly.
So we're working on
I
these
can-
too. You have a leg
Catcher's
guard.
gear?
No, that's a leg
Catcher's
guard.
gear is
Just
coming. This is a leg guard, your little shin guard for batting,
Yo,
multiple hand guards.
I like those.
Yeah, I was getting ready to ask the next question.
That was good. I was definitely gonna ask another question.
So when I did this, I got hit everywhere where the padding wasn't. The first 9 hits hit me directly right here. And 75, we can debate whether it's fast or not. At the end of the day, you get hit in the same spot over and over again. You're going to
It's
feel
gonna
it.
hurt.
Yeah. So on the 10th one, I can't tell if I was just numb or it actually did work. But you have that, this one as well, and one more hand. These right here, we have to test again. We just need to make sure that we're covering full points, and I'd like to have a little bit more protection. So maybe increase this by a half a millimeter or maybe a full millimeter, as well as for this, we're going to make some changes into this. So we had those, and then we have this one as well that I haven't made my mind up yet whether or not we want to use this. This is actually a foam as opposed to
Okay.
like a hard plastic or whatever. You can see you can actually squish into it. This will mold better, but is it going to, take away that sting as much as possible? I got to go stand in front of a pitching machine again and get hit. It's so funny because when I go in there and do this, there's people in the tunnels on both sides of me. And they're like, first thing, are you Happy Gilmore? I'm like, well, if I was Happy Gilmore, I wouldn't be wearing a pad over here. But, you got to test this stuff out. I could put it on a dummy, but I don't know if it works or not. So I'm the one who stands there and gets hit. Fun times.
If that's not commitment to your craft, I don't know what is. Being the test dummy for the R&D department.
I mean, again, my brother's an interior designer, so he works with a company in Germany called Miele, and it's a family-owned business. He has met the owners a number of times, and they always tell him, hey, our name is on it, so we're going to make sure it works.
I love the culture that you've built with your company. But my last question before I let Chris take over with the fun questions is: if someone joins the Sacco USA family, what experience do you want them to have?
I want you to feel like you're actually a part of a family. I want you to take pride. I want you to take ownership. I want you to have an experience you never had before. I want you to call the number that we have on the website. I want to hear from you. Don't ask me for free shit because that happens all the time. But I think I hear all these horror stories about people who, contact all these different companies and they either get ignored or they promise them one thing and it's another. I'm just upfront and honest. When if we're doing a custom glove, any information I get, I pass it along to you. I have a whole system in place of how I want that to be integrated in the future. But, even if it's stock stuff, I always check to see if it's delivered and I give it about 2 days and then I call the person thanking them for their business, letting them know, hey, it's delivered. Please keep us updated. And I think that really throws people for a loop at first because they're just not, let's face it, it's 2026. We don't know how to talk to people anymore. Everything's done through text. Everything's done through email. Everybody's too busy to do everything. I just want to slow stuff down. I want to slow it down and make it on a personal level and say thank you because we can read an email, we can read a text. You never know the tone of the person on the other end. And I feel nowadays people are so triggered easily. I'm not trying to get underneath anyone's skin. I don't have time for that. And I think when you feel that you have a stake or you feel that sense of pride, again, you are not a customer. You are an ambassador because now you're going to go tell this person who's going to go tell that person who's going to go tell somebody else. And then they're going to be like, oh, maybe let's go look them up on social media, whatever. We're going to be doing more things on social media. We're going to be displaying. You're going to see this on camera more. It's just one of those where it's not that I'm camera shy. I just feel I want the product to speak for itself. And, obviously you can only do that so much with seeing. Maybe I look at it from my perspective because when I see something, I will dive in and do research to figure out, okay, what are they about? What have they done? What's this? What's that? I just think brand is not a singular product. It's a lifestyle. And I'm showcasing my lifestyle, through the brand. That's why you saw the patent leather. That's why you saw the elephant print. These are things that brought and continue to bring me joy as an adult that it did as a kid. And I just think that, it took a long time to do that. It took a long time to do the patent leather and to do the elephant print. Not because the materials weren't readily available, but I am very big on the details. So all that leather that you see is made in Europe, tanned in Italy, and then will come to me before it goes to the factory. I inspect every little single piece. So could I be saving myself some money? I could be saving myself a lot of money by just sending it to the factory. But again, I want to make sure that it's within my standards. And if it doesn't meet my standards, I will cut it, make sure that it's not there and ship off whatever we need to. People always say, well, you're small or whatever. That's your opinion. I think how you view yourself is going to be the interpretation that people get off of you. You have to believe in what you're doing. If you don't buy into what you're trying to do, how do you expect anybody else to do it? And having that underdog mentality that I've had since I was a kid, I really think that's what separates us because you may not know who we are, but you're going to definitely know who we are soon. I'm a big told you so person. Big told you so.
Well, that does it for my questions. I just want to say this before I let Chris go, is that I'm truly impressed not only with the quality that you put into your gloves, but the mentality that you bring into making sure that each glove is personal. That phone, you're not getting a phone call from Rawlings after you purchase a glove. You can go to the store, buy a Rawlings glove. Nobody's calling you to say, hey, thanks for that. So I really admire the way you're doing business. And I think that it's going to find its people 100%. And it's already found it's already found a lot of them, but I think it's only going to find more.
No, Will, and I appreciate that. Shout out to Ozzy, RIP. I love Ozzy. Osbourne was a great show. Always wanted to go to Ozfest as a kid, never couldn't afford to go to it. But they make over 50 different flavors of ice cream for a reason. Not everyone likes the same thing. And all I can ask from people is if you're willing to give us an opportunity, you won't be disappointed. You won't.
Well, that does it for my questions. Chris, you've got the fun questions.
See, this has been fun because, first of all, I'm going to apologize of being one of the people that text you about after you got hit because my brain was like, okay, so many questions. Like, okay, how many times did you get hit? And then want to change something right then and there, and you couldn't because in
27
my brain,
total times. 27 total.
Okay, as a fun question then, out of all the things you've tested, which one has been your favorite?
I would say so far probably this. So this hasn't come to market yet. This is a little 10-inch glove. We can make this for youth, but we're trying to think of another training alternative. Our trainers are 9.5 inches. This is a 10. Different pattern, different web. Trying to play catch with this. So I'm old school. I break my stuff in playing catch. I don't dunk it in water. I don't. If that's what you want to do and everything, by all means, go ahead and do it. It's just not, what I do and what I believe in. Not to say that it's wrong, but to try and play catch with this, I wore a few right here. Thank God I got some chunk to protect it, but this has been fun. I mean, honestly, all of it's fun, because this is the fun part of business where I get to test all this stuff out, especially, right-handers, you guys get all the cool stuff. So with me being left-handed, now I can make myself whatever it is that I want, but all of it's fun, from gloves to batting gloves to even getting hit. It's, you gotta have some fun in doing what you're doing. And I have a blast. It takes
I
away
really
from the
want to see
stress of
you
everything
try to play
else.
catch with that. I don't know why, but I'm intrigued trying to watch you play catch with that, because watching you put it on, I'm like, I think of Tommy Boy, big guy in little suit. I feel like big hand and little glove, and I feel like we could make some comical reels for you for social media.
It can happen. It's you try to catch a softball with this, and it pretty much takes up everything. But no, I mean, I'll tell you now, it's more fun doing this than, I have this one I have to break in for myself, and I will stand off in a machine and just try to play catch, and it just pops out. This thing's so stiff and that's honestly that's how I want things to be. I want our gloves to be stiff.
So this one is probably the coolest one I thought of for you. If money was an option, what is one piece of baseball equipment you would love to redo and do it your way?
Money wasn't an object. Man, there's a lot. There's a lot.
Because there's a lot of equipment.
I do have, Joe doesn't know this, but I have a sample set of catcher's gear coming. I really want to do that. I caught one game left-handed using a first baseman in Legion ball, and I never do it again. And the only reason I did it is because both of our catchers went down. I think that would be fun to do. Also, I mean, I have ideas for cleats. I have ideas for batting gloves. That's just one. The protective equipment, again, I take this approach in everything that we do. Design from the inside out. Don't make something better, make it different. And I came across that when I was reading Steve Jobs' book years ago. I'm very big on to listening to people, not just of success, because I think if you look at the really key factor in successful people, what they have is perseverance, not giving up. I think this would actually be a really cool story. So out here living in Vegas, I worked at a nightclub on the Strip for 19 years, and I would meet people from all walks of life. You guys are familiar with Richard Branson, correct? Okay. Richard Branson, he just unveiled Virgin Airlines, and I saw him kind of off to the side, and I was like, what do I have to lose here? So I walked up to him and I said, how you doing, Mr. Branson? My name is Michael. And he goes, call me Richard. I said, sure. I said, I see people of your status all the time. It's really refreshing to see somebody of your status that is happy, smiling, and enjoying life. And he said to me, I've accomplished more in my life than I can ever imagine. You can work as hard as you want, but you have to get lucky. And he goes, I've been lucky. And I said, okay. And he goes, what are you passionate about? And I was in college at the time. And I said, I can't answer that question at this point. Fast forward 4 years later, I get a tap on my shoulder. I turn around, Richard Branson. Michael, how are you? What's going on? I was like, what are you doing? He's like, well, I'm just queuing up to get in. I'm like, yeah, you don't have to do that. Hold on. So we were able to get him inside and everything. And he was talking to me and he goes, have you figured out what you're passionate about? And I said, I have. He goes, I don't want to know what it is, but I just want you to make me one promise. I said, what's that? He goes, don't give up when it gets hard. He goes, you already done the hard part in starting. He's like, you're going to be tested at every single level, but don't give up. He goes, it's going to be hard. That's how you know the juice is worth the squeeze. And, I reflect on stuff like that. I meet a lot of MLB players, or I've met a lot of MLB players in that environment. Never once have I brought the business up. I just think it's one of those, again, boundaries. And, I remember when I met, I don't even want to say his name. I want to, let him respect his vacation and everything. But he would come in a number of times, and we met at a charity event that we were a part of. And he goes, why have you never told me this when you see me? And I said, you're on vacation, right? He's like, yeah. I said, do you want me to bust your balls when you're on vacation? And he was like, I can't tell you how much that means to me. He's like, dude, I will, never not, praise you. He's like, what do you have? And I sent him something and everything. And I was like, I know you're under contract with somebody else. So I want to respect that. And, if they're going to give you the money, go and take it, dude. Go and take it,
All right, I got one more for you. If you had to design a glove on your own website, what colors and what are you doing?
I am biased. I'm always going back to that 6-finger trap. As far as colors, you want to know what the hardest part about all this is? You want to keep everything. Right, man, what colors am I doing? Because there's so many. There's so many variations and things I want to do. I mean, you can't go wrong with a signature all black with our Sacco blue. I'm not a loud individual. I'm very quiet and reserved in my personal life, and even when I'm around people. I just like to listen more before I open my mouth. But I like having some swaggy shit when I'm playing. So I think it just depends. I mean, that black of the Sacco blue is one. I mean, I'm loving the teal and the black with the
Ooh,
citron lacing.
yeah.
I think this is just something different. Let's see what else here.
I will tell you, the blue and tan one really caught my eye.
Yes. I
And the
think it's a
problem is our
modern classic.
podcast colors are blue, and I'm like, tan really gets me.
It does look
Like
nice.
There's
it,
that.
it looks so nice
The
over
burnt
there.
orange too. The burnt orange is really nice.
Yes.
See, I was curious
So
how the burnt orange looked in person.
there's an outfield glove online as well as a stock H where we did a hybrid series of our European kip and ultra premium steer hide. The burnt orange is the ultra premium steer hide. I love that color.
Okay.
Okay.
I know what you're seeing over here is things that no one else has ever seen. It's up to you guys if you want to see it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna make a series out of this, but so we get the opportunity to do Travis Scott's celebrity softball game. This was the first base mitt we did.
That's
This is
cool.
this you've seen my personal first base mitt that hasn't been touched or broken in, so I don't even think I could sleeve a little bit. So this is with our hybrid backing. This gives you the best
See,
of both worlds of back and open conventional. Here you go, burnt orange right here.
Okay.
That looks really
That's our
good with the
yellow web.
blue. That Sacco blue.
That is pretty. See, this is my problem now. Now I'm seeing these colors.
So other ones, these are personal gloves that we did for Trav, and no one else has these other than myself, my one partner, and Trav. This one was it this one or yeah, that was this one. I actually had a sneaker reseller DM me on Instagram because somebody got a hold of this. I'm not going to say the price that someone paid for it because it's a lot, but
Yeah.
these are just fun projects that over the years he trusts me to just come up with. I wish I can show you this year's and the other PE stuff, but in due time, especially one of them. This was one that he has. He actually used this one in the game.
Ooh.
We have another red version, and what I really like is these little hints or nods to the city of Houston.
Ooh.
That's
He's
really
a
cool.
Houston guy, and again, just he's like, how did you figure out how to do this stuff? And I was like, well, I did some research. I talked to people from the town. What makes Houston Houston? And try to basically, pay homage and respect to the other sports teams that are in there as well, because he is a big Houston sports fan. This was a game day glove, another one.
See, I like that the laces stitch work on the pocket.
Baseball seams.
Yes.
And we did a little one-piece glove action.
That's
and
nice.
If you notice, so we took away the thumb and the pinky loops. So what that does is, instead of giving you that adjustability to make it go like this, makes it more of a tapered fit. If you have skinny fingers, we can do this. That's what I would recommend. I have sausage fingers, so for me, it's a bit. This is snug, but I think just having something cool like this is, especially when there's only 3 of them in the world. Catcher's mitt.
That blue. See?
Nice. See, I like that signature blue color on those gloves. It's a really clean color and it pops just enough.
Yeah, I would love to have the light blue in our ultra premium steer hide, but to develop a color, it's so costly. It's
Yeah.
I just don't know what else to say other than it's very, very costly. It's a huge upfront cost. Trying to think what else. This one I made for my late rescue dog. He was a deer Chihuahua with some patent leather.
Love the lace, the web.
This is my go-to.
So that the shimmery portion and the dark blue, what did you use for that?
This is all patent leather right here.
That is leather? Wow.
Yep, that's
it shines
all
like that?
leather. Patent leather from Italy.
That's cool.
Now do you see my problem when I start designing a glove?
Then you had another Travis one.
See, that all black looks nice.
Again, I think just trying to capture someone's personality or a reflection of them in a product. That's the cool and hard part to do. But we have the purple one too. This is my favorite.
Purple and black. See, I would almost do that with the podcast logo, and instead of the black, do the blue. Do the Sacco blue with the purple, and then you get the purple and blue for the podcast.
One that looks really good with that purple is mint.
Mint. Ooh,
The mint
okay.
embroiderer. You did this one.
Idea. Okay.
That does look. Ooh, I like that.
So I think at the end of the day, it's like, when I first started, it was, okay, pitchers can only use this colorway. Now I'm at to the point where I'm like, let's just make cool shit. let's just make cool stuff, you know. And we have some stuff coming now that's going to be really, really eye opening. Kamikaze Web has been really cool to do. Let's see, I haven't posted this one yet. He's one of our players. Sadly, he got season ending Tommy John. But when we were discussing about what to do this year, he goes, you know, thinking I don't remember the name of the movie, the robot one with Hugh Jackman and Noisy Boy.
Yes, that's Real Steel.
Real okay.
Yo,
So
That's
that yellow you see, that is a lemon drop patent leather in the web. And I had him come up with some scripture that he wanted to put in Japanese as well. And then that's how it looks in the sun. So it'll reflect a little.
that is
Yeah, we need to get this one on the
so.
customizer.
With all this cool stuff being said, Michael, can we announce the cool thing that me and you and Ethan have been working on together?
Sure. Once I get it fixed on our end, we are going to come up with a promo code that listeners of the podcast can use. So they will post it on their social media. You'll be able to use that for 20% off of your order, your first order. And when we decide to do a special on the customs, we're going to make that code available for customs as well too. Once we get the technical stuff worked out, because I know nothing about tech, but that's the only thing that's holding us up right now is just getting that to work. But we'll let you guys know when that's going to happen, but you will be able to use that, and we will be going on sale, you know, doing a special for our customs very soon. But even now, if you want to log on to the site, you will get a pop-up. If you want to create an account, once that account is created, it's going to send you a code to use at checkout for your first order on stock stuff. Go and check the site out in general. You know, I'm welcoming all feedback. And when it comes to websites, again, speaking for myself, never satisfied. You get one thing done, you're already thinking about the future and what it's going to be. And, you know, maybe I should take my own advice and focus on the now and celebrate a small victory. But I can't help it. I'm always thinking, you know, 10, 20, 30 steps ahead. But yeah, I think that's going to be really cool. And another thing is with the customizer, I don't know if many people know this or not. You will, well, every glove you can customize, but then you'll come up to your bag. So you can put an image on your bag. You know, I want people to know that too. You can customize your dust bag. Again, take ownership in what you're doing. And you'll probably get a phone call from me when you place your order.
man, Michael, I'm excited. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining us, talking to us about the gloves. I'm excited. I love the brand. I love the gloves. Man, it's going to be great. Thank you so much for joining
No,
us
I
today.
appreciate it, guys. I appreciate it. No, it was a lot of fun. Chris was giving me a hard time. He's like, "Oh, you know, you're going to be in front of the camera now, and yada yada." I'm like, "No, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it."
Well, I appreciate us letting join your company and, with a code and everything. I appreciate it. I will say, listen, you did way better than what we were joking about on the phone. Okay. When he goes, this is going to be my first like big in front of the camera thing. I said, it's easy. I think it's easy. I don't know. I'm so used to it now that I don't even think I forget the camera's there.
I'll be
So,
honest with you. I just heard what you had said. Everything else prior to that, you broke up. It was very robotic.
well, I appreciate you for, everything. And you did great,
No, it was a lot of fun. It's funny when I
You
tell
forget.
people, you know, I'm not a camera person or whatever. It's not that I'm shy or anything like that. I don't feel uncomfortable with it. It's just I feel like my time but I'm very hard on myself. I always think you can be doing this instead of that, or you could be doing more. So that's where it comes from. It's not like a defense mechanism or anything like that. It's just one of those where maybe undiagnosed ADHD. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just one of those where, you know, I don't see things like this. I see things like this. And I'm like, okay, well, if we're over here, we got to do this. We got to do that. It's like to just rein it in.
So, guys, for all of our listeners out there, make sure you guys go check out Sacco USA. That's SACCO-USA.com. He can also be found on Instagram at Sacco USA. So, go check out the gloves. It's definitely worth looking at. Fantastic quality, fantastic workmanship. Michael, thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming on and talking to us. And look forward to working with you going forward, boss.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Guys, until next week, this is Inside the Foul.